I really love the box that this came in. It's very unique than any other box I've ever gotten, and it's fun to open. There was a very beautiful and professional extra baggie with a bunch of candy and the invoice, which I'll get into later. And then of course all of the slimes, which look amazing, and they were all individually bubble wrapped. She also included a small activator bottle that had a sticker on it, and her logos are really cute. There's two different versions. And then there was dark pink tissue paper at the bottom. Then here I'm just taking them all out of the plastic wrap, which I find satisfying. And I love how all of the clay pieces with the DIY slimes were together with the slimes so that customers know what goes with what and won't get confused. And then the one slime that had add-ins, the add-ins were on top. So I think that's super professional, and I was very impressed and happy with it. First up, we have Coffee and Cake Slime, which is a DIY clay slime, and I love the clay pieces. I was blown away in this order by how realistic the clay pieces look. And the coffee and cake container on the bottom is a 6 ounce, and then the cream part, I think maybe a 2 ounce. And this is a DIY clay slime, of course, for only $6, which I think is amazing. I really like the color of this slime. It's very spot on to coffee. The texture was not my favorite because it's not very stretchy and it's very jiggly, and I don't like jiggly slimes because then you can't get good bubble pops or really pokes too much. Pokes are decent, but the bubble pops sometimes like suck into the slime, so they don't make good ASMR. If you weren't intending to make a jiggly slime, then what you can do to fix it is use stronger activator, because what makes slime jiggly is when it has a lot of water content, and when you have a stronger activator you can use less of it. But if you do like jiggly slimes, you might like this one because it's better than like the store-bought ones, because those you can't even play with, they just rip. But this one, if you stretch it slow, you can get a decent stretch and you can still poke it, so it's not the worst at all. And it also had some glitters that made it look like coffee grinds, which is really cool. I was very impressed with this clay piece when I saw it. It looks super realistic and it's wrapped very well. This is the cream portion, and it's filled a little less than I thought it would. It's kind of to one of the fill lines, but a lot of people might be upset if it's not full all the way to the top, because that's what most people prefer, like myself. But it was enough to decorate the slime. It's just a suggestion, maybe fill them up to the top so that nobody has any complaints about the amount that it's filled. Besides that, I like this white color, and I think the container is really cute, and I love how it's still labeled. And the texture was not my favorite because it was kind of like icy, but it mixed well into the slime, so it wasn't really a big deal. I just decided to play with the slime texture separately so that I can get a feel as much as possible before I mix in the clay. And it had good pokes. You just had to stretch it slow so it didn't rip. So I had no idea how to decorate this, but I decided to put some of the white slime around it like coffee cream, and then I took out the clay pieces and put them on top, and then put the cream all over them. I actually was happy with the way they turned out, and look at these clay pieces. Even if you know coffee cakes, they have the darker part on top, so this is super realistic, and her clay is really unique. I've never felt any clay like this. I think it's good, but also I would recommend to use dope clay or Daiso clay even, because that one doesn't affect the scent too much, because with certain slimes it did affect the scent. And also not everybody might like the texture because it's like not hard, but it's more of like a drier clay, but it was still easy to mix in. It's just not everybody might like it, but I actually liked it because it was unique and fun to mix in. But I think dope clay or Daiso clay would be better because they're a little softer and easier to mix in, because this one you have to mix in all the way so that there's no chunks. And also the color might be easier to add to slime, like not change it when it's just white, because white doesn't affect the color as much as, you know, the brownish color would. I'm not sure if they colored it this color or not, but a lot of them were the same color, so I don't know if the clay is this color or not. It was still very fun to mix in, and the chunks weren't hard. It was just harder to mix into slime. I'm not sure if that's because of the clay or the texture or both. But after I mixed it, I was surprised pleasantly because I like this texture a lot more. Like I had a feeling I would, because sometimes clay can help a jiggly slime because it makes it, like you can see, more creamy and spreadable. It's still not my favorite texture because it's a little weird, but it's also unique. So if you want something you've never felt before and a fun DIY clay slime, I definitely recommend this one. It had good pokes and it was pretty spreadable, and the color was not the worst. Not the prettiest, but it is coffee, so. To me, it doesn't smell like coffee or cake, so I would just recommend in the future to try to find a cake scent or a coffee scent, and that would help improve the slime even more. And if you don't want the base to be jiggly, just adjust your activator and you should be perfect. But overall, this was really fun to mix together. Chocolate chip slime cream sandwich is a 6-ounce priced at $6, which is amazing. I love this label, and the texture is a DIY clay slime. It's already in the container, and I was really impressed with the way this one looked, and it has some chocolate chip pieces on top that look very realistic. This clay was really fun to mix in. The slime was a bit sticky and the texture was different than I expected. It felt kind of like it had some instant snow, like maybe an icy. The color was a little funny to me. I like the way the clay looked, but I think the slime should be a little darker because the color is not exactly a chocolate chip color like you would expect. It's a little lighter, which is another reason why it would be better to have white clay where you can color it. But I love the chocolate chips. Like, I've never seen anything like it. It looks just like one. And this texture was one of my favorites in this order. It was really creamy and spreadable, and it had some good pokes. The only thing that I would complain about, besides the color should be a little darker, in my opinion, is that sometimes the chocolate pieces fall out, and also that I couldn't really smell much of a scent because I mainly just smelled clay. But it didn't smell bad per se, and I think this slime was really fun to play with and super creamy. I just added some activator to thicken it up and make it less sticky, and then we were good to go. Overall, I definitely recommend this slime because it's very affordable. It's really satisfying to mix, and it will make a nice video, and the end texture is really nice. I have Choco Butter Slime, which is a 4-ounce priced at $4, which is awesome. It's $1 per ounce, of course, and the texture is described as a butter slime. The label is super cute, and it comes with fake chocolate pieces in this very professional bag, which is great. I really like the color and appearance of this slime, and I liked how you get to add in the chocolate pieces separate, and they came in a really nice, pretty bag, and they just really add a nice touch to this slime, and the color is perfect, just like chocolate. This texture was pretty nice. Once again, I just want to say, when you open these slimes, they kind of look like they deflate a little bit. So in order to not have to deal with that, you can just let the slimes sit so they can deflate and then pack them so you can fill them all the way and they won't have to deflate, because a lot of people don't like that. It's not my favorite because it makes you feel like you're not getting your money's worth, but it was still a decent amount. It wasn't insanely underfilled. I would just prefer, as well as other people, prefer it to be filled to the top. This slime is not super duper stretchy, but you can fix this with softener. And if you don't want to add softener, you can just stretch it slow and you get some good bubble pops from this slime. It smells like a mix of chocolate and that off-putting hair grease smell. It's not the worst, but I prefer it just to be a chocolatey scent. So maybe the owner can just, you know, try different scents, because I've smelled some good chocolate scents, but I know scents are kind of hard. But once you get your scents absolutely like on point and you have a bunch of different ones that suit the slimes well, that will help improve your slime shop greatly. This texture also wasn't a thick and dense butter slime like I prefer. It was almost on the clay slime side, but that's totally fine. Overall, it's still pretty fun to play with. Pinky Cream Slime is a 6-ounce priced at $6, which again is amazing for another DIY clay slime. And this comes with a really cute donut and a very bright pink slime. I absolutely love this label. It's just like the Krispy Kreme logo. I love how these slimes came with a warning label. This slime had an absolutely gorgeous bright pink color that I loved. And another thing I love about this slime is the scent. It doesn't smell like donut or cake, but it smells like really delicious candy. This was my favorite scent for the whole order. The texture of the base was similar to her cookies and cream type slime. It's really jiggly and not the best for stretching. This one was especially kind of like stiff, but it had good pokes, and if you stretch it slow you get some decent pops. But I don't like jiggly slimes because they don't have the best pops and they're not as easy to play with since they're kind of rubbery. And if anyone wanted to know how to not make a slime jiggly, you just need stronger activator, because if you have a weaker activator, you're putting in a lot more water, which causes it to be jiggly. But when I added in the clay, I was happy to see that it made the texture a lot more enjoyable. It turned into like a clay slime where it was more creamy and spreadable, and the color was still beautiful, and the donut was awesome. It was really realistic and it was protected well. None of the clay in this order dried out, which is very impressive to me because nobody likes dry clay. I love the concept of the slime, and mixing in the donut was fun. Again, their clay is not my favorite of all time since it is a little harder to mix in. It's not like hard or anything like dried out, but it does come into chunks and it's a little harder than other clays to mix. So I always recommend dope clay or even Daiso clay, but my favorite is dope clay, and you get a lot for not that much. And as you can see, I found a hair, not a big deal. Just to avoid that, keep your area clean because nobody really likes hair. Like, I'm not someone who will be super dramatic about it, but if I do see it, I will mention it because it's something that you can always improve on, and I get it, it happens. And not everybody likes hair, but to me, I don't mind it too much. It's enough clay to make it creamy, and once you mix in those clay chunks, as I'm doing here, it becomes a lot more enjoyable to play with. I'm happy that these thick and glossies for the most part came with clay pieces because it helped make them a better texture, since I don't like jiggly slimes by themselves. But if you do like jiggly slimes, you may like the base because, as I said in the first review, they are stretchier and more fun to play with than store-bought ones that just fall apart. But I think if they fixed their activator and made it a better thick and glossy slime, that would improve the quality even better. Overall, I still definitely recommend this slime, and it's super fun to put together and play with. And the scent and color and label are amazing. Cookies and Cream Slime Scoop is a 6-ounce slime priced at $4, which is amazing, and it's a thick and glossy with a bunch of fake Oreo pieces. I was very surprised by this slime because for some reason when I saw it, I thought it was going to be a butter slime, but when it arrived, I realized immediately that this was actually supposed to be a thick and glossy slime. Now, the things I love are the label and the idea of it and the appearance. I love a white slime, and then the chocolate pieces are unique to other ones I've seen because they're a lot bigger, and there's a lot of them, almost a little too much, but still I think they look really nice. I'm a little sad to say that this is one of my 2 least favorite from this order. It's not a terrible slime because you can still play with, but this was another slime that was very jiggly, and I never like jiggly slimes because they don't do the best bubble pops since the air wants to like suck into the slime, so they kind of sound like rubber. It's semi-stretchy, but you have to stretch it very slow because it rips a lot. And my least favorite thing about the slime was the scent, because I know I say this a lot, but it smelled like hair grease. It's just that distinctive scent that doesn't smell like chocolate, doesn't smell like Oreos, doesn't smell like cookies and cream, and it's very strong. And honestly, a lot of the slimes smell like this, but this was the strongest smelling one, and scent and texture are very important. So I think once they work on that, they'll be golden because their packaging and customer service is on point. Like I mentioned in the first part of this review, if you don't want a slime to be jiggly, you can just use stronger activators so there will be less water. And for scents, you just need to order from some different companies and try out different ones because it's always good to have a variety of scents. And if you can't find a cookies and cream scent, that's totally fine. I know some scents aren't the easiest to find, but I would recommend to put either a cookie scent or even a chocolate scent or brownie. That would be great with the slime. DIY s'more slime, which of course is a DIY slime, and it is a 6 ounce for $8, and it comes with 2 clay graham cracker pieces in a separate container for when the slime inflates, a marshmallow slime and a chocolate slime, and the marshmallow slime is a 6 ounce, and I believe the chocolate is a 2 ounce. Everything was labeled super nicely, and it was put together so that I know this went together, and of course it has the warning label, which I love, and a really cute logo. I was surprised that this was a clear slime, but I thought that was very unique. And this slime was, as you can see, very sticky, so I added in some activator. I like the color. It reminds me of chocolate syrup. It smelled kind of like chocolate, but it's not my favorite chocolate scent, so I recommend trying P&J Tradings. They have a really good chocolate scent. And it's always good to experiment with different brands to find different scents, and all of them smell different, so you just gotta find which brand you like the most. This slime was sticky, so I had to add a lot of activator, and then also you have to stretch it slow or it will rip, but it had some decent bubble pops and it looked really cool, so I was excited to use this and the marshmallow slime to decorate the graham cracker clay pieces, which look really cool, and I like how they're thick, so it's a decent amount of clay to change the texture into more of butter slime rather than a clay slime. Here we have the marshmallow slime, and I love how the labels say which each one represents. It's super cute. This one was a very similar texture to the cream part of the coffee and cake DIY clay slime I reviewed in the first review. And I like the white color. I love white slimes because they look really nice and clean. And this was perfect color for marshmallow. This was not my favorite texture, being that it was more of an icy, but it was still fun to play with because it had good bubble pops, and if you stretch it slow, it's decent at stretching. But as you can see, it kind of rips, but the textures of these slimes are not that big a deal since I'm gonna mix it with clay. I also didn't enjoy the scent since it doesn't smell like marshmallows. It actually smells like hair grease, which I know sounds funny, but like hair products, and it's not my favorite scent. And I think it's this marshmallow scent that some other people use, because I've had a marshmallow butter slime from Slime Fantasies and it smells almost exactly like this, which smells like hair grease. So I think, you know, just changing up the scent and trying different things will really help your shop. And anyone out there who wants to make slime, it's always good to try different scents. I personally really like brand P&J Trading. They have some really good scents. Here are the graham crackers, and I love how they come separated and in an extra container. I think that's really smart, and they fit really well. I like how thick they are and how the owner wasn't cheap with them. They look really cool, and I love the dots on them. They're really cute. This one even almost looked like a waffle because of those lines. And I love the color. I think it's on point. And so what I did was I put some of the chocolate, quote unquote, on the graham crackers, and then I tried to shape the marshmallow slime into a marshmallow. And then I mix each individual clay face with the slime rather than putting them together, because I wanted to have more of an experience and take my time with mixing it and to have the utmost fun with this kit. And it was super interactive and very affordable for the things that you get. And I think that if they worked on the scents and found really nice marshmallow and chocolate scent, then that will make this DIY kit even better, because the texture was really fun, even though it wasn't perfect with the individual textures, but they can always work on that. And the idea and execution and labels and packaging and everything was really on point. And this looks kind of delicious. Like, it looks like graham crackers and chocolate with marshmallow. It looks super on point, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. After I mixed those two slimes together, I decided that this still looks like graham crackers, and I had some marshmallow and chocolate slime left, so I decided to do it again with the remaining slimes. And the only difference is that instead of one marshmallow, each graham cracker had two, and this was really fun to put together. I kind of miss it and would like to do it again. I definitely recommend this for the experience, and the texture and the scents are not overwhelming. They're just not my favorite, but the owner can always work on that. The end texture was creamy, spreadable, and great for bubble pops. The end texture is similar to the color of the graham cracker clay pieces, which is not my favorite color, but it could be way worse, so I think it's pretty neutral. And then as you can see, it fit perfectly in the extra container and in the marshmallow container. This is chocolate chip cookie dough slime, which is a 6 ounce for $8, and it's described as a butter slime. It also has a bunch of fake chocolate pieces. I ordered a 4 ounce for $6, but I believe they gave me a 6 ounce, which would have been $8, and I really appreciate the upgrade. The fake chocolate pieces were my favorite because even though I love the way they look just like chocolate chips in a cookie, but I don't like the texture of them because just like a couple of other slimes that I felt, they're hard like blocks and they're not the best feeling. They kind of hurt my hands, so I wouldn't recommend this for people with sensitive hands. And even though they're cute, they also fall out a lot, which kind of sucks and takes away from the slime. But I love the way it looks still. I just always recommend foam chunks because they still have that look. They might not look exactly as much realistic, but they do look very realistic and they still add to the texture without having to hurt anyone's hands, and they look really realistic as well, and they have a bunch of different colors. I love this slime appearance wise, and even though the hard pieces are my favorite and neither is the texture my favorite, it still has great bubble pops and it's still fun to play with. This is another slime that smelled kind of like hair grease, and the fact that a lot of these smelled the same in this order was a little sad. So I think, like I've said many times, just switching up the scent and trying different things and trying to make as many different and unique and similar to the names as you can. Like either find a chocolate chip scent or just chocolate or some type of cookie or sweet would be good. And there are a lot of great scents out there.
Really quickly, I just wanted to show the extras included in this package. First is the invoice, and it says s'mores there because I changed that slime for the s'mores DIY kit once I saw she added that and my package wasn't shipped yet. And they were very kind and had no problem changing it to that. And they also added a personal note, which is really sweet. Basically just thanking me for ordering, which is always nice to interact with the customers and to show them that you appreciate them. They also included this small activator bottle, which is really cute. I love the sticker on it. And then this really nice and pretty large extra baggie that had a bunch of goodies. It even had a slime care sheet on the back. First up is a really cute sticker. Then a large bubblegum lollipop. And then 2 grape, 1 strawberry, and 1 green apple haichu. Another cute sticker that I love because it's pink and it really fits the aesthetic. And then these 3 candies that are really pretty. They almost remind me of beads for bracelets.